It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about Baserow. Baserow is a really cool tool. This is a tool that lets you do graphical user input into databases. You can create databases, you can create tables, you can create everything, and you can do it all through a nice little graphical user interface. You don't have to know any SQL, you don't have to know anything special, and really this stores that data for you, and you can bring it back up, and you can set this thing up to do all kinds of really cool stuff. You can use this thing for just so many different projects. I mean, I had to sit down and actually just make a list of the things off of the top of my head, but you can do multiple tables and multiple databases. You can set up users and things like that. You can have people sign up for your site. There's some settings and things that we'll go through that allow you to do that. And it's really just a cool system. Now, it's a no-code platform, so that's the whole idea, is that you don't have to code anything to get these things up and running. And the cool thing is, not only can you set up the databases and the tables and the rows of information or columns of information that you want, you can use that to create forms, and then they can give you a link that allows you to post that link for people to go fill out that form. So think about what you could do with something like that. If you're a business and you have people that are project managers, you could do project management information, and then you can have them go in and update dates, update objectives, milestones, things like that really quickly. And then you can go through here and actually use some of this for filtering and sorting to get some information out of it to find out where are things at in my projects. I mean, I think that's really awesome that you can do those kind of things. What about user polls? You want to know something about your users, you want to know something about some new feature that you've put out there and get their information and their feedback. You go in here, one of your workers, yourself, whoever, you set up a quick poll, set up a database for a quick poll, set up the table you want. If you want different options, set up a few tables, and I'll go through some things like this. And then just go through and set up your form. And again, post that link and send it to your users and have them go in and fill that out. And you're going to get information back that you can use to get ideas of, did we do the right thing? Am I on the right track? Am I giving people the right content? All of that kind of great stuff. So I think totally awesome, really cool things that you can do with those forms. Just a few other things off of the top of my head here. Client feedback. Sales leads, support requests. We kind of talked about that one. How about a shopping cart? I think that's the one I'm going to do today in the video to kind of show you guys something I've been thinking of. But the other thing about it is you've got some really great features that let you do some other stuff and integrate with some other applications to make this even more powerful. So I think that's really awesome. I'm going to talk about the pricing here in a little bit towards the end of the video. I've got a special offer from the people at Baserow for you guys, which is super exciting. I've never had that before. Baserow reached out. They wanted to make a really great offer for you guys. So I've got something that's coming up towards the end of the video. Stick with me for the end of the video and check out what they're offering, because you've got an opportunity to win something really great. You've got an opportunity to get a discount on top of that on any of their paid plans. So I hope you guys will stick with me on the video. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's get to it. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. So a lot of times you guys say, man, I wish you would show me the software before I actually get into it. So I know this is a very white screen, so I'm going to try to change this to a darker color. I don't think there's a dark mode specifically for Baserow, but I'm going to go over here and switch it actually on the browser. All right, this is a little bit easier on the eyes, I do believe. So I'm going to enlarge this just a bit. Okay, so I've got a few databases that I've been playing around with here and things that I've tried. I'm going to show you guys how I build this in just a little bit. But first, I just wanted to show you the user interface and show you what you get kind of out of the box. So if we start up here in the upper right, you'll see that there's this nice little search, and it's got this option that says hide non-matching rows. So if you have any rows that aren't matching, it's not going to show you those things. But if you untick that, then you can show all of the rows if you want to. So I think that's pretty cool. Next, if we go to the upper left, we've got our username here, of course. And then if we click on settings, there's a few settings here. So for the account, there's my name. So they have a few language options. Now they may need some help with some language translations. That's a way that you could contribute. Considering this is open source, there's always a need for language translations, which I think is a great thing to do. Right now they have English, French, Netherlands, and Dutch. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And pretty great. So you've got some languages you can set up, and then of course update your information if you need to. Next thing, your password. So if you have an old password and you want to change it, you can do that right here. Very simple, very straightforward. And then your API token. So if you're going to use the API for Baserow, which is pretty powerful API from what I understand, you go in here and create tokens. And I'll be doing some videos in the future about some things that integrate with Baserow. So we'll kind of circle back around to Baserow as well. And we will be creating some API tokens for those as well. Once you're done with those settings, you kind of come back in here. And the first thing it asks you to do is create an organization. And we'll go through that when we set up the new version here in a little bit. But then you can create tables or databases. So in this case, I've got a shopping database. And then I've got a couple of tables here. So this is my table where I actually have a couple of items in my shopping cart. And then here, I've actually got the different stores that I would want to purchase those items from so that I can separate those out whenever it's time to go do my actual shopping. And here it shows you the items that are set up for specific stores. So pretty cool that I entered it in one place and it shows up in the other place as well because I've got these things linked together as tables. The other thing that I've been playing with is a little poll. So another one that's really simple, really straightforward. I've got a couple of options for different things for the poll. And then I've actually got the poll items or answers. And you can see I've just got some Booleans and how it displays the information for you right out of the gate. Now, if we click up here on grid, you can see I've got this grid as the setup already. So if we go back, let's go back to the shopping list. I kind of think it's a little bit funner. So if we go here, we'll go to, and in fact, I may put the poll on the video as well so you guys can go fill out the poll for me. I'll create one to put out there and I'll put a link in the show notes or the description so you guys can go check that out as well. So if we go back to our shopping list here and we go click on grid, you'll see I've got a form that I've already created. So I'm just going to go back over here. I'm going to click on this form and you can see it's a very simple form, but it's got the item, the quantity, and the store name. So really simple. Now you can change these things. So if I click in here, you see I get a little edit button. I could change this title. I could change this title. I could change this title. You've got several things that you can change about how these things work. You can move these things around. So I can move that up. If I want it up there, I can click on this one and I can move it back to the top if I want it on top. So you can do a few things. Now, you can really kind of customize your forms. You can put logos, you can put images, things like that so that people get a nice looking form. But this isn't how it looks. This is just where you design out your form. I've got a received, or I've got an ordered, and I've got a received on the form. So I could add those as well, but those are really for back-end type things. Like this is just put in the things that you want. And this is something where I might say, you know what, now I'm ready. I want to go and I want to share a link with my family. So I'm just going to click on copy. I'm just going to say, you know, I'd email this link to them, they would open it, and this is what they would get. They would get a very simple form. Now, the background and color is kind of different, but if I said, you know what, I need some bananas, and I want a bunch of them, so let's just say 6. I don't know how many's in a bunch technically, but 6 bananas. And from what store would that be? That would be from my HEB grocery store, and then I just hit submit. And it just does its thing, and it says, okay, I'm going to submit that. Thank you for submitting the form. And then it comes back around so they can add something else to the form. So if I go back over here and we look at what we've got, we can go back to our shopping items, and you see now I've got, oh, if we look at our items, there we go. You can see now I've got banana in the list, and it's at that store. So as I get more things from different stores, I can filter this down and say, you know what, I just want to see which stores, what things I need from Walmart. So now you see I'm only seeing that one row because I'm filtering it down to see only Walmart. But as I go through, I can say, you know what, I ordered that thing. I can check that box. So I can say it's ordered. Once I receive it, because a lot of times I order things from Walmart and I go to the store to do the curbside pickup and then they didn't have it. So if I didn't get it, I don't check the received. And when I come home, I can say, well, I ordered it, but I didn't receive it. So I can just uncheck this ordered box and it'll stay on the list. If I don't want it, then I can filter out the list next time for things that have not been received, and I can see all the things that I need to get again. And if I've ordered it, I'll know if I've ordered it. So it really gives me an opportunity where I've got a family that lives here with me that I've got 6 people. So everybody's adding things to the list all the time. Sometimes I'm in the middle of ordering and somebody adds something to the list. So I want to know, did I already order this, or is it something that they just added? So it's really useful for me to have something like this. I think this is a really simple way to do what I've been trying to do for a while. I've got a shopping list app. It's good. It lets everybody do it. It syncs. But then when they add something, suddenly I don't know that they've added it. I don't have a way to mark it as I've ordered it online, but I haven't received it yet. So I have to just go through and manually kind of remember, like, did I even order this thing? What's going on? Look at my shopping cart, you know, kind of compare. And when you've got 60, 70 items, you know, it gets to be really rough. So this is kind of a simple, easy way that I like, that I could use Baserow to do what I want to do. Now that I've given you a very simple example, I could have a whole lot of things on this screen, but again, a really simple view to see what I'm trying to do. So now, I've shown you guys a few things you can do with Baserow here. I think it's really cool. Now there's some other stuff that I want to show you, but first I want to go through, let's set up Baserow actually. So I'm going to open up the terminal. Alright, I am logged into my test server here, so I'm going to just show you that I have this folder that I call Docker. This is how I always organize my stuff. I like to put everything that I run in Docker inside of the Docker folder, so I'm just going to go into Docker. And then here you can see I've got a few things already set up, and you can see a couple of things that I'll be working on for the future. I'm going to create a new folder called Baserow. So I'm going to do mkdir Baserow. I'm going to cd into the Baserow folder, and now I'm going to keep everything for Baserow, the Docker stuff, inside of this Baserow folder. So I've got to create a couple of things. So I'm going to create an env file. Now I'll have all these things in the show notes so that you can go get them, you can copy them, and you can just make some small changes, and everything should work like it's working for me, presuming you have everything else set up that you need. I'm going to be using NGinX Proxy Manager so that I can proxy from my outside internet to the inside so that I can reach this thing from the outside world if I need to. So that gives me a nice URL that I can use instead of IP address. But if you just want to use it locally, you can just use the IP address. But the first thing I need is what they call a caddy file. I'm going to straight up copy this nano caddy file. I'm just going to flat out copy the contents of the caddy file from my other server here because I really just copied it straight from Baserow anyways. Alright, now we're going to look at this. It's a little bit big, so it's a little bit kind of funky looking. But right here you can see that it's got Baserow caddy global configuration, Baserow caddy addresses, and then it says, hey, we're going to set this up as the API star, so it's basically a header. So if you have /API/anything, we're going to reverse proxy that, private backend URL, localhost, and here's the port. And then this is all working inside of the container, so there's really nothing to change here. Again, WebSocket and then star, so the WebSocket is what allows it to communicate and update as you're looking at it. So again, localhost, and here's the port. And then down here it's got a health check and really simple stuff. Reverse proxy just goes to localhost, and 3000 is the port for that. So we're really not going to change anything on this file. We're just going to save it with Control-O, confirm the file name, make sure you don't want to make any other changes, and when you're done, Control-X, and you're out of it. So we're going to clear this out just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do nano now, nano, and we're going to do .env. So this is an environment file. It's a hidden file. So when you create a file with a dot at the beginning of the file name, it'll be hidden from view when you just do the regular ls command, or if you're looking at it through a graphical user tool, you'd have to switch on something to show you hidden files, basically just like in Windows or any other system. Just to save time, I'm going to copy things that I already have over, and I'm going to paste it in here. Then we'll go through what I've set up. So I've got this simple file. So the secret key, very important. You need to make this a long, strong key. This actually should be a mix of numbers, characters, and symbols. So make this really long, make it really strong. It should be uppercase, lowercase, everything. Don't make it like this one that I have here. This is just a placeholder. Same thing here. Your database password. This should be a really long, strong password, okay? And it should be something with mixed case characters, numbers, and symbols. If you put symbols, you should probably put this in quotes, just because a lot of times symbols mean something in a database, so you might want to put that in quotes. The Redis password, I have found that Redis passwords are not super long or friendly, so this is about how long I would say to make it, but I would definitely just change it to something kind of random like I have here. I don't know really what the rules are around Redis passwords, but I've just found that if I make it too long or too strong or put symbols, it just doesn't work. The Baserow public URL. So this is the URL that you want to use to reach your Baserow system. If you're going to do this only on your local network and you just want to use an IP address, then get rid of this right here and just put the IP address that you want to use. If you want to set this up with the reverse proxy, I'll show you how to do that here later in the video. You would want to put what you want to have for your Baserow system. So in my case, I own the domain, and you need to own your domain, routemehome.org. So I'm going to put routemehome.org. And I'm going to leave that as Baserow, because that's really simple for me to remember. My arrow keys are dying. There we go. Next thing is port 80. So Baserow caddy address is port 80. So caddy wants to run on port 80 on this server. I'm not using anything on port 80 on this server that I'm aware of, so it should be fine. If you're using something on port 80, you don't want to use port 80, you want to change that. Okay, and you'll have to go change that in a couple of places. We'll get there. The web front end port, again, port 80, because Caddy is going to forward that over. It's inside the container. I don't think there's anything really to change right there. The publish IP address, again, this just means like, where can I reach it from? Leaving it as 0.0.0.0 is probably a good idea because you'll want to be able to access it from pretty much any machine you have. Now, SMTP, this is for email. It's important that you go set this up. I found that until I set this up, for whatever reason, the webhooks side didn't want to work, even though it doesn't seem to have anything to do with email. I was having issues with webhooks. I went and set this up, and then I restarted everything, and bam, it worked. It could have just been the restart, but I had restarted it before I set this up. So just be aware of that. You want to set up, if your email uses SMTP, type yes. For your SMTP host, you want to put in the host address. For the port, the correct port, whatever you use. If you use TLS, it's probably 587. If you use SSL, it's 465. If you don't use anything, it may be port 25. But you should know what your host port is, what your SMTP port is. If you don't, you need to look that up. TLS, if you use TLS, then type yes. If you don't use TLS, then type no. Your SMTP user, so again, important that you type in the right information for these things. And then finally, the from email is important as well. So once you've got this, you're going to save this and you're going to be set and ready to go. All right, you might notice a change in my terminal here. I was just having issues, so I've switched over to a different terminal emulator for now. But we've got those files, so if I do ls-al, you'll see that I've got my caddy file and my .env file. So the last file that we need, I'm going to clear this out, is our docker compose, docker-compose.yml. All right, we've got our Docker Compose here. Again, there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of comments up here at the top, so you can kind of read through this and check out what he says. But as we move down, you'll start to see that we can start to get to the meat of things here. So it's really pulling things in from that environment variable file. I don't think I changed much inside of the Docker Compose file itself. It's really trying to do a few things again for the stuff that we've set up. Yeah, so really, again, I will have this file available for you, but you can pull this down straight from Baserow as well, so I'll give you the link to do that. They could change this file over time. That's why it's better to go to the source to get it, but I will have it available. I have changed nothing in this file. So the only place we had to change something was in that .env file. So it's very important that you do make changes in that .env file to match your system and your needs. So I'm going to just do Control-O and just to make sure, and X. And we're going to do docker compose up-d, and then I'd like to do &&, docker compose logs-f. What this means is bring up my Docker container in a daemon mode, which means it'll continue running in the background even after I stop the command from running. And then after that's done, show me the logs and tail those logs so I can see what's going on in it. So I can see the logs immediately. I don't have to type in a separate command. That's all it is. I'm just saving myself a little extra work at the end. So it's going to go out and it's going to pull these down, and it takes a little bit of time. So be patient. Baserow takes some time to get up and running, especially the first time. So it's going to go out and pull these things down. It's going to take a little bit of time. So let's go set up our NGinX Proxy Manager. Now I've got videos out there on NGinX Proxy Manager as well, so if you're not sure exactly why I'm doing this, this basically lets me send in a request from outside world through to my network, and then I create that same thing. And then I'm going to put in the IP address of my server and the port number, and I'm going to say block common exploits, WebSocket support, and I'm just going to save that. Let's just see if that goes first. Alright, so we've got our proxy set up, and we are here and ready to log in. Now, of course, we need to do sign up instead of sign in, so you click that little link there at the bottom. We're going to put in our email address, first name, password, and confirm a password. Okay. And save, and we don't need to save that for now. So this is really kind of where you start off with your blank setup. Right out of the gate it says Brian's Company. It just pulled my name from what I filled out on the form and created this thing called Brian's Company. Let me zoom this up a little bit for you guys on the phone. Now you can create new groups. So this is Brian's group. Okay, you can see there's drop downs. You can rename, you can do all kinds of things. You can add members. You can leave the group, delete the group, and then of course create new groups. So there's all kinds of things you can do. If you have multiple people using your Baserow system, you can do a lot of really cool things just from the group standpoint so they can access certain data and not other data. A lot of cool stuff there as far as that goes. If you want to invite other people, you need to have the email function set up in that env file that we did earlier, but then you can put in their email addresses. You can set, are they going to be an admin or just a member? And then you can set an optional message and send that thing so that you start inviting people to use your Baserow setup. So we've kind of got things set. So let's create a database. Let's create new database. Oh, they do have templates too. Let me show you that real quick. From template. So this is kind of cool. They've got a few templates here. If we look over here on the right, they've got these great templates, and you've got this content marketing section. You've got education section. You've got events. So you can check out some different things for events that they've got going. They've got health, hobbies, human resources, local business. So again, restaurant management. They've got personal. So again, an applicant hunt, a book catalog, bucket list, car hunt. I mean, just a lot. Look at it. I mean, a huge list under personal. That's kind of awesome. So they've got some really cool stuff there. Under professional, again, a nice list under professional of different things that you could be doing. I mean, look at this list. My gosh. So a lot of really cool stuff there. So a lot of really cool templates. So we're going to go back out of the templates. I want you guys to check out those templates. I think they're really great. But we're going to go back out of the templates. We're just going to create our own new database. So we're just going to call this again. We're going to start with a shopping list. Shopping list. I'll show you real quick how fast this is to create. So once it's created, it pops up over here on the left. And if you click on it, you'll see you get this create table. So I'm going to create a table, and this is going to be my store names. I'm just going to start with a blank one, but they have the option to import CSV file, import an XML file. And of course, you can just paste in table data if you already have it somewhere else. You can just go copy it and paste it in, or you can import a JSON file. So you've got a lot of different ways to get data in here, but we'll just start with manual. Why not? So we're going to do store name. So I'm going to go here to store name, and you see it starts off with some basic data. So I don't really need all of these things. I'm just going to delete this field. I'm going to delete this field. I'm going to name is fine in this case because it's my store names, but whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to get rid of this information here, and I'm going to call this Walmart. And Amazon's fine. It actually is a store that I care about in this case. And we'll do HEB, which is a grocery store. Oh, Apple store. How about that? All right. So we've got a few stores there listed. I'm going to create another table, and I'm going to call this item list. I always like to put underscores. You don't have to do that, but there we go. I'm going to create the item list table. You'll see it spinning. Here's my item list table. Again, I don't need these extra fields. They just start you off to give you an idea of what you can have. So my item names, edit. There we go. Item name. Okay. And this is just a single value text or a single line text, which is great. So I'm going to save that, let it change that system. And I'm going to get rid of these. I don't need them. I think I can do somehow. Oh, right click. Yeah, right click, delete row, right click, delete row. There we go. We've got a blank row. Now I'm going to add some other columns. So I've got the item name. I want to know the quantity of how many of something somebody wants. So that one's just going to be a number. And you can put decimal places if you want it to be dollar values or something. I don't need any decimal places. That's fine. It says allow negative. So again, if you're going to have dollar values or allow negative numbers, you can do that, but I don't need that in quantity. I'm going to do store. And I'm going to say that's going to be a linked table. Now I want you to look. This is a scrollable list. It's not just what you see here, but it's a linked table in my case. And then it gives you just a list of the tables in this database. So you can just go pick that table. And now we've got a linked table, and that's going to be a selection option. And then again, I can say ordered. And that one's just a Boolean value, which means that it either did get ordered or it didn't. So you can just scroll down till you find Boolean there. And then click it, and you see it's going to be a little checkbox. And then we'll do the same thing for received. So now we've got our shopping list. So this is great. I could actually take this. I could just give this to people if I wanted to. So I can share this, and you can create a link right to this view, and you can show people this view and they can see what's going on here. So pretty cool. But I want to create a form out of this thing. So I'm going to click on grid. I'm going to click on form, and we're going to add a new form, and we're going to call this shopping or add item. Add shopping item. That's fine. Easy to remember what that is when you give it a good name. And you see it starts off very blank here. There's nothing really here yet. So we're just going to go here and pick the things that we want. So we're just going to pick add item quantity. and store. And we don't need the ordered or the received on this form. We just need those things really, and just my opinion, but it's the way I'm going to work it. And once I've got that, there's really nothing to save. It's pretty much done. It has a submit button. You can change the text on the submit button. So if you want to do add item, you can do that. So now that's what's going to be on the form instead. So quickly, I've created this really nice, simple form. And again, you can drag things around. You can rename stuff. So if you don't like this way that it's got the underscore there, you can just get rid of that and just put item. And then here quantity is fine. Here store is fine. So now we've got it kind of set up the way we want. And then you can again say share form, create a link. There's the link that I would share with my family and tell them to bookmark that thing. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go open a tab and I'm going to paste it. And there's my form, and it's got the callback to put the information into my database. So I'm just going to put in item. I don't know. I mean, let's just, what do we need? I need a new earbuds and one, and from Apple. So if you actually start typing, it'll start filtering, and then you can just pick the one you want. So if you have a really long list, it does give you the type ahead, which is nice. I can submit that, and it says thanks for submitting the form, and I didn't really give it any kind of redirect, so I can go back and fix my form to kind of fix that problem as well. All right, so here we are. So I don't have anything going to the redirect. So here it has, put a message, or here it has redirect URL. So what you can do is just paste in that same URL so that when they enter one item, it takes them right back around to the form to enter another item. So I kind of like doing that. So if we go again, if we refresh this, now I've got the form and I say, you know what? I need some groceries. So I need hamburger, meat, and this is going to be 2. It's just a number, but that'll mean 2 pounds. And then HEB and add, and then it's going to spin for a second while it submits that, and then it's going to come back around to the URL. I just add another one. Now, it's a little long on the spin. I wish it was a little bit quicker. I'm not really sure what the deal is with the time that it takes, but maybe that'll get sped up over time. That'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, really super simple here. So another item that I'm going to need at some point for sure is going to be milk, 1 gallon in the US, maybe 2 liters somewhere else. And yeah, again, we just do HEB very fast, and it's going to come back around and it's going to ask me for the next thing. So you guys get the idea. So now I've got my stuff. I can go back over here and I can go to my item list, and you're going to see I've got all of the things that somebody's put into my list, and I can filter here. I can say I just want to see the things for HEB, or I just want to see the things for Apple Store, and I can mark those as ordered. I can mark them as received. I can start filtering my list down. I can create some filtered views, which is really awesome. So very simple, very straightforward way to use something like Baserow, a really useful tool that I can share with my family, and they can get in and actually fill things out and do things without even having to have a user account. They can just throw things on my shopping list, which is really great. Now, there's some other cool features that I do want to talk about real quick. So this one here called webhooks, this is where some of the power comes in. You can use webhooks to basically send something or trigger something to happen. So I'm going to open this up. And basically you give this webhook a name. So in my case, I created one on my other system that sends an item to my Rocket Chat. So I'm going to open my Rocket Chat up. I'm going to let you guys see this in a second. So you can see here, I've created a webhook, and I was just testing this to see what would happen. So I was just testing with Baserow, and then I actually started making some different changes with N8N. But now I've got this Baserow one back from where I added that thing earlier to the list and in the other system. So every time something gets added in Baserow, I use a webhook to send that information over to Rocket Chat on this channel called my Baserow shopping list. That makes it really easy for me to get a notification that someone's added something to the shopping list. And after I see a few of those, I might go, you know what, it's probably time for me to go ahead and make another order. And I can see by date, like how many have been made since a certain date. I can look at the orders that I've made. I could put a created column on my orders, but you really do something simple like send to Rocket Chat. Very easy. In Rocket Chat, you go set up a webhook for incoming stuff. It's very easy. You have to pick a channel. You need to have a user. I always set up a special user for each channel that I'm going to have a webhook for. But you pick the channel, you pick the user, and then you basically go down and hit save, and it gives you a special URL for your Rocket Chat instance. and then you can go in and you can actually paste that URL right here. Now it's a post for Rocket Chat. For other things it might be a get, but you just tell it, here's the type that I need. So the system where you're creating the webhook should tell you what kind of webhook you've created. So in this case it's a post, you put the URL in there, you just paste it in, and you can say, send me everything. So no matter what I do to this thing, whether I add, update, delete, doesn't matter, send me a message. Or you can pick, I only want things when they're added, or I only want things when it's updated. So let's say you're a project manager and you've added a bunch of things, and your project managers that work for you are working on projects and they're updating dates and they're updating milestones. You might only want to see the updates that those guys are creating. So you can say, only send me something when it's updated. They give you a little bit of, this is what the stuff's going to look like that comes out. This is kind of like what we're expecting. This is what we're going to send when we send it, I guess, basically to this webhook that you're creating. But you can get a notification and you can tell it over on the other side where it's receiving the webhook, hey, here's what this should look like and I want to take this out. So I'm going to do another video very soon on some really cool software that's going to help us deal with this. But I wanted to talk about webhooks because there's so many great things you can do with webhooks, and it's really not too hard to get started into them. So I think on that next video, I think next week, in fact, it'll probably be out. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff you can do, and we'll use Baserow to send some things over and do some really cool stuff. So I'll use Baserow again next week as well. I hope you guys think this is really cool because I think this is awesome, and I think it's a really awesome tool. So then you just hit save, you're ready to go, you've got your webhook in place, and whenever you add something to the list, if on the other system, when I add something to the shopping list, it pops up over in Rocket Chat and I can see it, and I'm going to get over in Rocket Chat and I'm going to format that data so I can see something that's a little bit prettier than just saying Baserow, so I can see what the actual thing was that was added, and I'll know, do I need to order that right now or can it wait while the list builds up? Just really cool stuff that you can do with this thing. I think this is really amazing. And you saw how fast we got this up and going and how fast we had a form that we could send out to people to fill out. Such an easy system to use. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a special offer from the Baserow people so that you can take advantage of Baserow so that you can get something out of it. They came to me, they asked me to do something for them. I said, I will happily do a video on Baserow. It's open source. That is awesome. If you'd like to give something, I'd like you to give something to the viewers. So I've got a discount code that's going to be in the show notes in the description. And then also there's an opportunity for you to get a free year of their premium offering. There's going to be a discount code in the show notes and the description, so if you're interested in one of these plans, you can go use that discount code and even try these things out for a little bit less than you would if you were having to pay straight up, so be aware of that. But also, if you'd like to get the premium plan for a year, go down into the comments on YouTube, put in there what your idea is that you could use Baserow for, and see what you can come up with. And again, they're going to go through and they're going to look at it and they're going to say, you know what, that's really interesting, or no, that's really cool, that's a great idea, and they're going to pick somebody and they're going to give you premium for a year. The most you're going to lose, even if you don't get it, is a couple of minutes to go write a comment. So definitely go write a comment. Let us know what your ideas are. I think this is a really great thing. I totally appreciate Baserow for offering this and working with me to do this. I think it's terrific that you guys are going to get something out of it. I hope you enjoy this. That is Baserow. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.